The episode starts in the middle of the night at the Matthews home, where Jim and Tabitha get into a blazing row. It begins with Jim trying to reassure Tabitha, who's starting to believe the accusations that she didn't do enough out in the real world. However, when Tabitha shuts him down, they argue about their relationship, dredging up old resentments over how they both dealt with the death of their son, Thomas. Tabitha accuses him of never being there, that while Jim claims she abandoned him and the kids. Talks turn to the fact that before they arrived at Fromville, Tabitha wanted to get a divorce. But their argument is interrupted by the screams of a nearby monster, serving as a stark reminder that they need to focus on the here and now. The following morning, it doesn't look like any amends have been made. Jim's left to gather more food at the lake, while Julie's not in the best mood, having heard the screaming match in the night. Tabitha tries to explain, but Julie makes a quip about things finally being back to normal, suggesting she heard a lot of arguments at the Matthews home long before making it to the fallen tree. At Jade's house, he's brought Boyd over to tell him about an exciting new development in his investigation, showing a map of his various findings and a whole lot of theorizing. Jade suggests the faraway tree that sent Tabitha home could be some sort of wormhole or dimensional rift, but Boyd stops him as he begins to ramble, asking, "Did you look at the bottles from the other tree?" From season 1, Boyd and Sarah found a different bottle tree during their trip to the woods, and in it they discovered a note with the date 1864. Jade is shocked at this revelation, asking Boyd where the second tree is. The scene cuts to Colony House, where Victor finds his father Henry in his room. The pair struggle to reconnect, and understandably so. They still have decades of catching up to do. Victor explains that he's got something important to do, which we know is to find Jasper in a bid to learn more about Fromville and the entity behind it. Given this involves going into the tunnels, he doesn't want Henry to come with him. However, when he sees his father upset, Victor says, "You could walk with me for a bit if you want." Over at the clinic, Marielle tells Boyd that the ambulance Tabitha arrived in was fully stocked, and it even included an ultrasound scanner. Yes, that's right. It's time to learn more about Fatima's baby. Speaking of which, Fatima and Ellis are currently talking about what to do after he found out about her pregnancy cravings. While Ellis is remaining optimistic, Fatima doesn't want people to find out in case they think their baby is a monster. Boyd interrupts their conversation by knocking on the door. Fatima doesn't want him to come in, but Ellis talks her round by saying, "I am just as scared as you, but we cannot do this alone." It's time to tell Boyd. You can see on his face he's concerned, but rather than theorizing, he simply tells them about the ultrasound machine. Although Fatima wants to live in denial, Ellis comforts her while suggesting that they find out sooner rather than later. We cut to the swimming pool, where Donna's surrounding Dale's death site with rocks. Tabitha pays her a visit, where she once again questions whether she wasted her time out in the real world. Donna points out that she could have ended up in the same position as Dale, and that the main thing is she returned alive and well for her kids. Meanwhile, Victor and Henry are walking towards the tunnels. Victor's explained to his dad his reason for wanting to go there. He believes he'll find the key to saving everyone at Fromville. When they get to the entrance, Victor tells Henry to leave, but he refuses. "I just got you back. I'm not losing you again. If you're going to do this, we're doing it together." At the clinic, Marielle is tending to Randall's wounds. He asks to see the damage, and she hands him a mirror, giving him some time alone. But perhaps it's too soon. Randall is visibly shaken when he sees the scars across his face. While in the tunnels, Victor leads them through, leaving toy soldiers along the way so they don't get lost if they need to book it. But when they head to the chamber where Victor last saw Jasper, it's empty. This is particularly alarming, given it was previously filled with not only the ventriloquist doll, but also a clock, a wheelchair, and a whole host of sleeping monsters. "We need to go deeper," says Victor, but Henry replies, "I'm not sure that's a good idea." Poor fella's been thrown in the deep end, and it's not the end of his plight, as the pair start venturing further into the tunnels. Over at Colony House, Fatima's agreed to go for a scan, but she doesn't want to tell Christy about the cravings unless they need to. As she walks down the stairs, Elgin takes a photo of her with the Polaroid camera he and Julie found in the last From episode. Who else thinks this is going to become part of a horror movie trope in the near future? Out in the woods, Jade gets to the other bottle tree, only to find another person there. Kind of. It's the ghost of Tom, the bartender who was killed in From season 2. Dead Tom casts doubt over Jade's search for answers, suggesting he's grasping at straws. But Jade reminds him that Victor's mom, Miranda, had visions of the tree before she even knew about Fromville. You don't have visions about things that don't mean anything, he says. Dead Tom, as we're now calling him, continues to shut down his theories, causing Jade to grow increasingly frustrated. However, he then reminds Jade of the person he used to be, the thick-skinned founder of a multi-million-dollar company. You really want to beat this place? Maybe you should sober up and give that guy a call, he says. Jade looks away to think of a response, but when he turns back, Dead Tom is gone. The scene cuts to the Matthews home, where Ethan asks his mom about Tian Chen and whether she was happy with her late husband, Bing Qian. Tabitha realizes Ethan overheard her and Jim fighting the night prior and apologizes. Ethan says he wishes they could go back to when they first arrived in Fromville, and everyone was too scared to argue. Their conversation is cut short when Tabitha hears banging from upstairs. She goes to investigate and is horrified to discover the Ang Kui ghost children are back. They corner her before disappearing once more. Over at the swimming pool, Donna's just about finished with Dale's memorial site when she gets a visit from Kenny. He's not feeling at home after Tian Chen's death and asks to come live at Colony House, which of course Donna is more than happy about. We then cut to Jade's house, where Tabitha and Ethan show up wanting to help him solve the puzzle. He tells them about the second bottle tree, revealing that they both contain the same set of messages. "What does that mean?" asks Tabitha, to which Jade replies, "I have no idea. But I am increasingly optimistic that somewhere in here, somewhere in these dates, these numbers, is a key to something that we need to understand." At the clinic, Marielle's preparing to discharge Randall when the talk turns to more serious matters. He asks her why she's pretending to be okay, referring to the incident where the pair of them and Julie were sent into a coma-like state and ended up in the dungeons. Randall and Julie have been left traumatized, but Marielle's been seemingly fine. He suggests it's because she's got a comfortable setup, being able to live at the clinic with her partner, Christy. "It's not like that out on the bus," he says. "I don't get to pretend. It's fucking terrifying." Without hesitation, Marielle tells him to move in with her and Christy. "Go get your stuff. No one here has to be alone," she says, and Randall gratefully agrees. Down in the tunnels, Victor and Henry finally arrive at a chamber where all of the items and the monsters are. Victor quietly grabs Jasper and puts him in his bag, but as they go to leave, Henry spots a piece of clothing belonging to Miranda. It sparks an emotional response, one that rouses one of the sleeping creatures. If that weren't terrifying enough, they hear the voice of a fully conscious monster who says, "You know, Victor, if you keep coming down here, one of these days will make you stay." The pair make a run for it, hearing screams from the distance as they head away from the chamber. Once they get out, Victor takes Henry to the shipping container home out in the woods. "I used to hide here before the people came," Victor says, leaving Henry horrified that his child was alone all that time. But Victor reassures his dad that everything is okay now, especially after getting Jasper. "I heard him tell Christopher a story about this place once, and we have to make him tell it again," he says. Meanwhile, the time has come for Fatima's ultrasound, but something strange happens. When Christy moves the probe around, the monitor shows nothing. No baby, no monster, no anything. Fatima insists they're wrong, so Christy goes in for another scan, but they get the same results. Christy and Marielle try to comfort her, but as Fatima grows increasingly distressed, Ellis says, "You need to tell them." The scene cuts to Colony House, where Elgin is developing the images. Lo and behold, when he looks at the photo of Fatima, something creepy starts to appear. Beside her is the kimono-wearing ghost lady he's been seeing throughout from season 3. Suddenly, she appears next to him and whispers in his ear, "Help me, Elgin. I can save you. I can save all of you. I can help you go back home." As soon as she appears, she's gone again, and Elgin looks back to the photo to find there's no one else standing next to Fatima. At Jade's house, he reassures Tabitha about the Ankui ghosts, saying they're not going to hurt her. As they talk, Tabitha comes across one of Jade's drawings of the creepy ward effigies he found by the lake, which triggers a memory. She explains that she experienced a recurring nightmare when she was a child of the effigies and the three red stones Jade envisioned in from season 3, episode 3. She comes to a realization saying, "It wasn't just Miranda. I saw this place too, but I just didn't know it."